Hi, everybody. Welcome to Journey to the East African Voices. It's a platform where we highlight or platform African professionals who studied in China to tell us about their experiences during their study and also reintegration back home on the job market and about their professional lives. So this is the first episode of the year 2026. Our first guest is Rahel Woldeselassie. She's an Ethiopian national with a degree in Bachelor of Arts in Accounting and Finance from Addis Ababa University. Rahel is also a founder of Fox PLC, a web-based platform that connects users with vetted SME service vendors, creating more transparent and accessible local marketplaces. She's based in Kigali, Rwanda, where she serves as an alumni fellow in Jasrai for Africa. It's a Pan-African entrepreneurship program focused on building high-impact ventures. So really, Rahel has a very solid background in entrepreneurship, innovation, technology. We want to welcome you. Hi, Rahel. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Great. So we're gonna jump straight into our conversation. We're gonna start off from your educational background. I know you have a background in accounting and finance from Addis Ababa University, but then you also studied in China for a little bit. Can you tell us where and what you studied while you were in China?
Okay, so just to give you a little brief about my how I became exposed to the opportunity in China is while I was working at my current startup, as you mentioned, Fox. So as you said, it's a tech-enabled platform that connects SMEs to vendors. So one of the opportunities that is out there for anyone in the entrepreneurship scene is exchange programs like this guy, the one that me and you actually linked up on, which is China Merchants Group, the use and innovation exchange program. So technically, it's not like an academic. So as I was saying, it's an exchange program that I was exposed to. Somebody actually recommended it, check it out and apply. And as an East African, one of the things that we really lack is the ecosystem and the environments that allow you to learn from other African countries and even locally. So there are a lot of programs outside of Africa, and this happens to be those type of exposures that I was looking forward to in order for me to build my degree and resume, but at the same time also learn from China because China is a huge country with a massive innovations and a lot of startups that started there that are doing very great right now that are world class businesses. So I decided to give it a try. So it's more of like an experience of meeting big businesses and you learning. There are trainings as well for international related fields, but it's not a class like learning. It was more of like an exchange program where multiple countries from Africa, I think I would say more than 30 or 20 something countries were selected. And from that, I think 19 or 20 something startups were able to join this program. So more of like an exchange educational program rather than like a degree or a certificate. So it's a very hands-on program that I get to learn. So it's called Star China Merchants Group Youth and Innovation and Technology Program. So yeah, I was selected as one participant from Ethiopia. We were two, and I was one of the companies that joined this program.
Okay. So this exchange program, did it happen while you're still in university or did it happen after university? Were you asked to apply while you're still in the University of Addis Ababa? Or did that happen after you finished and through contacts you got to apply for it?
So no, it happened after I was working on my startup. So it's after I graduated. So it happened while I was working on my startup. So one of the criteria for this program to be part of, also you need to have at least 2 years or 3 years work experience in order to join and understand need to understand the business world so that it benefits the current stage that you're at. So after I graduated, I had I think maybe 5 or 6 years of experience, and from that, the 3 years were dedicated to rebuilding parks. So it was after my graduation.
Right. What was the application process like? Was it very rigorous to be accepted onto the program? I was asking how the selection process was like. Was it very rigorous to be accepted onto that kind of program?
Yes, so majority of so just to give you a context, it's a African wide application. So anyone from Africa that has business can apply. So it is very competitive. It's also very diverse, and I would say I think we're the third batch. So people are aware of this program, and I don't think I've come across any other China initiated program other than this one currently active in Africa. So yeah, it's a very competitive program. Yes, gonna have to go through multiple processes. So the first one is you have to fill out a form, like an application, and then you have to do a pitch if you're
Yeah,
shortlisted, and then after the pitch, if you found to be a fit in the program, then you get to be selected. There is also a second verification that they go through as well. So once you get selected, there is a training that you mandatorily have to attend in Djibouti at the Red Sea. So that way, they also get to show you where African logistics business is currently operating in and how important it is our involvement in general in our countries and to the contribution of Africa's one business in the one market that we're trying to do. So if you mandatorily attend that and they see you being very active, then you get to go to the second stage, the third and the final stage, which is you get to go to China for 14 days and you get to visit big companies, Xiaomi, and all of the big brands that making big differences in China. So they get to take you to the journeys of each, so that way you can also see yourself in them. So yeah, I think there are 3 or 4 main stages that you have to go to get to the end.
mm, right. So, um, before you moved to China for the certification, what was the perception of Ethiopians going to study in China? Was it a popular thing back then for Ethiopians to maybe go outside of the continent to do the entire undergrad in China or a postgrad or even a certification like you did in China? Was it a popular route that young people were taking back then when you did it?
I would say because I think Ethiopia and China have a very good relationship. A lot of majority of the constructions that are currently happening in Athens, construction companies are very linked, specifically if you ask me in this sector, that's the innovation and the buildings and construction. There's a very high link. But when it comes to education, I would say people would rather prefer to go to Europe and US, as you know, like African countries, majority would like to study there. But I've seen like after 3, 4, or 5 years ago, there's a huge shift where people just want to go to China to study because they've seen the impact of all that went there and did their studies and came back. So I would say there's a huge shift of understanding that there is a lot of similarity between UK and China when it comes to culture. Like we use our own language, we have multiple lines of development areas where in previous times where China used to work on. So there's a lot for us to learn from China. I would say that I've seen a lot of shifts throughout the years, and I've seen that people when they usually don't come back with just a degree. They're so versatile as to also they even might even open a business in Addis and create a link from Addis to China or Ethiopia to China. So they are seeing that it's a two-way advantage where you get to have your studies, but at the same time, on the sides, you can also do your business that way. You get to have both the experience, the work experience, at the same time, the exposure of China. So there has been a lot of shifts. Yeah, it's one of the cities that now people want to do their studies on.
Right. Which city did you go to in China
So we
to
went
study?
to
Do you
three
remember?
cities. Yeah, we went to three
Okay.
cities. We went to Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Beijing. I think we each stayed the same amount of days for each three cities. Shenzhen, we went to the biggest tech companies because they're based in there. In Guangzhou, we went to again different companies that are working on a lot of innovations. And in Beijing, we also visited um, the China Africa Fund companies, some startups also pitched there. So every destination we went to, they facilitated a teaching session for us. So for example, for me, I pitched my business idea to Hawaii, so that's the biggest exposure that anyone asked for. So it was a huge deal for me. So each startup based on your sector, you are linked with the company that best suits your area of work, and then you also encouraged to uh, take the contact of these individuals and these companies to further strengthen the connections that so it was really a great experience for anyone, for any of the companies that wanted to expand their business. Yeah, so we went through the cities.
Okay. Was there any, as an African who's just gone to China, I'm assuming for the first time, were there any cultural shocks in any of the cities that you went to? Was the biggest cultural adjustment that you had to make, would you say?
Uh, um, I haven't. Maybe I'm gonna have to think about that question, but I think from my side, I would say, but maybe if something pops up later, I'll definitely let. Yes, I wouldn't say culture shock, but I would say I was just amazed by so every hotel that we went to had a robot waiter. So that was a shock for me because we didn't even engage with any human, but robot did everything. So I would say it's more of like a thrilled to see that how innovative the country is. It's just a very simple hotel can also have a very innovative way of effective way of doing business. So that was like a very big deal for me. Other than that, I don't think I've came across any social. Yeah.
Yeah. Still on adjusting to life. You mentioned earlier that there were different people selected from different African countries to join the exchange program. So did
Yeah.
you feel that that community of Africans with you during the journey in in acquiring that certification helped with you transitioning into life there because you're not really on your own. You had other people also in the same boat as
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. For sure. So to give you a context again, from people from West Africa, east, the north, and the south as well. So we were so many people from different countries. One of the things I noticed that we usually have like a gathering after the trainings and stuff, and we usually talk about our struggles and our wins and what we've achieved in general in the business sector. One thing we noticed is our challenges are not really different. Even though it's a different country, Africa still faces the same line of regulations and policies that not allowing us to date with them as much as we want. So having this connections really made it easy for me. If I want something from Nigeria or if I want something from South Africa, I know who exactly to call. And these are people from different walks of life with different experiences that are working on their business. So there's a lot of similarity, but we never really got a chance to connect. If it wasn't for this program, we would never really have met. So it kind of created an ecosystem of Africans that are working on different problems, solving different problems, and we can really rely on each other for.
Hi, Pamela.
Hi, Taylor.
Yeah, did we just lose her?
Um, I think it's her network. Let me
Her
text her.
network. All
Yeah,
right.
let
So
me
while we
text
wait
her.
for her, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go on.
So I think I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask. When do we get a chance to ask? At the end of the session? Is that it?
Yes, at the end of the session, yeah.
All right. Thanks.
All right. I think we lost you a little bit. I think we are talking about community and having people from different places. And when you need something, there's someone that you could go to from somewhere. Yeah, we lost you. Maybe. If you could take that one more time.
Yeah. So basically, we kind of created a circle where we can rely on different nations. If we want, we can get it. We have a group as well, so any support that we need regards to each of our countries, we will be there for one another. So it's created a community where we can tap into any time that we want. Not only that, but also support of one business to another. It could be about future partnership as well. That's something that we discussed for some of us who were running the same type of businesses. So we did create a lot of things towards each other, not only just recognizing each other and helping each other, but also the business part, potential business partnership that can come along. So yeah.
Okay. So how long was the course generally?
The training or the entire program?
Yeah, the entire program in China. How long was it?
So I, if you're asking me the entire program, it started in May and it ended in September.
Okay.
But our visit specifically was from September, beginning of September to the end of September. Yeah.
Okay. So was the arrangement for like most people on the program that you go there for a few months and then come back home with what you've learned? Was there any alternative consideration of maybe staying on in China to work? Did it ever cross your mind anyway of, let me just stay in China to do some work? Or was it really just, let me go through this training and then come back home and apply it to my startup?
So everyone that went there actually came back because again we are running a business, we have responsibilities and we have a team to run. So everyone came back with the. Can you hear me? I hope you can.
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, good. So everybody had to come back, but speaking for myself, there was a visit that we did at one of the universities there that sparked this interest in me to do my master's in international business in those in the specific university that we visited. So I'm aiming for hopefully by next year I'll start my master's while I finish up few things here and delegate the most important parts of the task that I have to do in my business. But for me, if you're asking me specifically, for sure, I'm going back to do my master's in international business because I've seen on one of our trips that I saw it being a very good opportunity to learn in China from one of the best schools there. So for me, I have plans to go back.
Okay. Okay. Do you think it's easier for you now that you have that previous experience of, going through the previous training? Is it easier for you to go back compared to somebody who hasn't had the experience that you had?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I don't know how much of what I said you've heard. Maybe Pam, you can remind me and then maybe I can continue. But I was just saying, so for me
Yeah.
specifically, I have plans to go back and study my master's next year. And I know some other startups as well have plans to go back to China to like have some deals with the suppliers and talk about potential business partnership. So it's not just only me. My interest is in education, but at the same time, any partnership that comes along with what I do, I'm always open to that
Mm.
as well. But it's definitely yes for everyone because I've seen how impressed everyone is. So what it might be a difference of timeline, but I know everyone is interested to go back for sure.
Yeah. And my follow-up question after you said that was, is it easier, you think, based on you having that foundation of, having that previous training to go back to do a master's compared to somebody who has no experience of studying in China at all? Does it make the journey easier to pursue further study?
Um, Uh, I wouldn't say it would be a total yes, but I would say it's an added advantage because they
Mm.
would see that you have an exposure of China before, and that's something that
Yeah.
I noticed that it goes out for everyone as well. Is when once you have an experience of visiting, as I said, these are multinational companies that took their time to explain what they do to each and every one of our startups. So I would say it's an additional advantage. I wouldn't discard anybody else that will have this experience not to try. But I would say for those who went to this program, definitely it's an added advantage and it's something that we can also put on our CV or like on our resume or on our research plans to show that our need doesn't come from just a wish, but it's more of like a lived experience and we've seen exposure of getting to know China. So yeah, I would say it's an added advantage.
Okay. Is it fair to say, based on your submission so far, that you were self-employed before China and you continued being self-employed after China? You didn't need to, or did you find a job right after coming back home? What was the process in reintegration in the job market?
So as I said, because we already have existing businesses,
Mm.
one of the things that we took out of this training was the business model that we currently run on. So one of the advantages, as I mentioned earlier, is you get to sit with your team and really go through uh, the offerings that you have, the service offerings that you have, and at the same time, because you've been exposed to different technology methods, get to
Mm.
sit down with your team and say, okay, this is what we've been doing right, and this is something that we can improve on, and this is something that we have to kill because of what I have seen in their work. So it wasn't more of like me trying to find a new job. It's more of like uh, enhancing and working and building more on what I've already started and being futuristic enough to say, okay, this is how China is doing it, and this is how we can't follow their lead because now we got exposed to different and multiple ways of running a business. So our part is not the way of running a business in Quebec, but it's more of like how does China get to the level that they are right now, and how can we start one small step at a time that way that we can implement and also get the outcome that they have. So it's more of like learning and executing what you've seen in your respective company. So as I said, it's already existing business. So it's about creating new projects, finalizing what we've been stuck on, and also at the same time letting go of the things that we're not serving a specific team. So it was more of like a reflection and a planning of what we can do moving forward.
Right, right. But generally, do you think that a certification from a Chinese university is respected or recognized, valued in the local job market in Ethiopia or even in Rwanda
Yes,
because you're based there?
yeah, definitely. I would say even the fact that us being exposed to the big companies that I mentioned early on, we've seen things that majority of the people didn't get a chance to see, and it's about how you frame it as well. But yeah, obviously, it's a very big deal because I'm from Ethiopia, and you know I've been to Rwanda because of I'm from Jaziri, and Jaziri has a big name here in Ethiopia. So imagine having a China certificate will do so. Yes, the impact is big. So
Right, right. And do you think that the education, the training you got in China has been a big influence in what you do now? Or has it had an impact in your work? And how has it,
yes,
if it has?
as I said, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is you only plan as to your exposure, and going there I've seen so many ways on how to run a business. So it made me see that maybe we've been limited by our way of thinking and our way of executing. So this made me see that there are multiple ways of how you can expand your business and lead your team as well. So it has impacted me in a very technical efficiency way. I would say there is this one thing that really stuck to me during our trip, and it's about being effective and how being on time is very relevant and how work ethic is uh, respected in every way of places, companies, interactions that we had with every Chinese person had made me see that we have a long way to go. So yeah, definitely had
Mm,
the way I plan and work on tasks.
right, right. And what was the language barrier like for you in terms of like networking with Chinese people and creating opportunities there? Was language a big barrier for you? And how is your Mandarin looking right now, would you say?
My Mandarin, my Mandarin is really bad, except greetings and numbers. But one of the things that the program actually gives you, there's a small training part where they train you on the basics, so you
Mm,
get to also use that. But other than that, I think for majority of the time I use because they're very active technology, they're very technology enabled. So I used a lot of Google translations and a lot of Apple translators if I'm going somewhere. Yeah, so yes, language is a barrier, but I would say the technology is there as well. Then you get to at least have basic interactions with people.
okay. I see that my co-host is on the line. Hi, Florentine. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can talk, but anyway, this is just to acknowledge you, your presence. Okay, moving on. So, would you recommend, what would you tell an African considering a short-term business certification in China? What would your
Um,
advice be to them?
The first one I would say is you need to be very serious about what you're doing and what you want to do in the future. One of the things that I've noticed while teaching was I was ready to show the work that we've done so far in my country and in my business. And I didn't take the pitch lightly. I was prepared. One of the things that I've seen in China is you have to be prepared. There's no in between. You have to be on time. You have to be prepared. You have to know what you're doing, what you're about to do, and how the program is going to help you. So at first, one of the things that I would advise is because there are a lot of programs out there, you wouldn't think that this program will be different. So you might treat the way you handle your application at the rest of the programs out there. But everything is being seen, everything would be jotted down, and everything would be counted. So I would say be very serious as to your application and how you present yourself because being effective and being on time is highly favored in the Chinese community because work ethic is very huge. So I would say that and that only and quality from the rest of the crowd. So respect the work that you do and make sure you show up on time to express what you've done. And second one is be very honest of your achievements and your also shortcomings. That way they can also find ways on curate programs on how to actually support you. So those two would be the biggest advices I can give to any startups or any entrepreneur that is exploring opportunities in China.
Right, thanks. And what would you say people should lower their expectations on? Because some people just see the upsides to maybe like going to pursue such a certification or training. Are there any limitations or downsides they can expect, or are there no downsides at all? Yeah, I think
So
that's my question.
yeah, it's also my personal learnings that I tend to
Mm.
see that when you go to China, you might assume because there's a lot to see, there's so much to see that you might get distracted other than the plans that the team has for you. Because there's a lot of just new innovations, new things to see, new things to do, especially coming from an African country. I would say be really careful of the distractions if you go there. Make sure you sit down and write down the potential partners that you want, the business that you have, and how you want to be perceived going there. And at the same time, what are the future plans of your company? That way, you can backtrack to where you are right now in order to make the best out of the trip. So there's a lot of things to see, and the team will give you uh, uh, itinerary of the things that you have to go to. But at the same time, there's a lot to see, so it might be distractive. So one advice that I have is they're very serious as to the time to time schedule that they have. So if you're thinking of going there just to visit China, that's a wrong perception. You're going there to work. You need to have that mentality of showing up every day on time and executing the things that you have planned from the get-go. So you take a huge thinking of if I go there, these are the companies I want to secure, these are the partnerships I want. So you can't let the team know in order for them to schedule a meeting for you or a visit for you. That way, you get to have both the visit and at the same time a very tangible partnership of, of your experience. So I would say don't get distracted because there's a lot to see in China.
Is there anything you would do differently starting the journey again?
Um, that's a very good question. There are
Looking
things
back,
that I've,
no,
yeah, there are things I have figured out while I was there. So I would not have got the chance to really articulate the things that I have planned while he was out being exposed. So I would say being very intentional of more companies instead of like one or two that I picked. Maybe having more options and coming up with a list of companies would have made my trip even more beneficial to me. But still, what I have done was also a good outcome, I would say.
okay, thank you. So, that's, I don't know if my co-host can speak now. Sorry, is your mic on now? I don't know if you have anything else you want to ask, Rahel, since you're here. Are you able to unmute? Okay, I think Taylor had a question before. It's time for Q&As. So if anybody has any question for Rahel, this is the time we can unmute and then ask before we bring the session to a close. Anthony, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Um, First of all, I want to apologize for joining late. The time from where I'm in Florida and my time is quite different, so I didn't join as early as I would. I just wanted to understand the topic for today because I joined late and just have I don't know if there's anywhere I could check the recording just to update myself on what has been discussed here. Because I'm interested in the forum. I always wanted to join earlier, but because of my time, most times I just miss out most of the things. So is there any place I can access the meeting, what has been said earlier? Thank you.
Hi, Anthony. Yes, we normally put all the recordings on our YouTube channel for Sino Center. So yes, I'll send an email out to all of those that registered to alert them when it's uploaded.
All right. Thank you so much.
No worries. Anybody got any question before we wrap this up?
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay, Taylor, go ahead.
Yes. She went to China for a couple of months. I want to ask for her opinion. At what level would you say you should be in the language before you undertake such a either get a degree or master's in that particular language next year? So I want your opinion, my take on that.
Taylor, I don't think your network is that clear. Is your question asking what level you should be at in terms of language before you pursue any studies in China? Is that your question?
You know, in any, you can say any language at all, you're maybe interested.
Could you ask the question again? Your network wasn't very clear.
What you said was right. Yes, what you said was right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Your rephrasing of the question was right.
Okay, sure. Rahel,
Yeah.
do they
I
need to
do.
have a certain level? Yeah.
Can you repeat it? That would be great.
He's asking if he needs to have a certain level in Mandarin before he can apply for a certification like you did or like, pursue further studies in China. Or is it not necessary? You don't have
Yeah,
to.
in terms of language proficiency.
No,
Mm.
you don't need to speak Mandarin because majority of us didn't actually speak Mandarin. I think maybe I'll send a link to the program. That way you can check out the criteria. But one of the must-haves is you need to have a startup that's is being functioning maybe 2 years or 3 years, 2 years and above, in your specific country from Africa. Other than that, you need to pass, of course, the application, but the language is not a mandatory. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. So it's an entrepreneurship training program. So English is the main language. Even the program team also speaks English. So they're gonna help you with a lot of the program schedules they have because majority speak English. So you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Okay, so I have a follow-up, yes?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so you did mention that maybe next year you'll be going for a degree, right?
Yeah, my master's, yes.
Masters, okay. Do you think you need ground knowledge or a high proficiency in the language before you go for that master's? Let's say maybe B2, B, I don't know, in a certain level before you undertake such an adventure, if I may put it that way.
I think there are for masters. I don't know about bachelors because I think for bachelors it might be mandatory to have a Chinese language, but for masters there are a lot of English taught programs because I get to visit one of the universities there in Beijing. So if you can search English taught programs, I think you're going to find most of them don't actually require you to have HSK. So yeah, you can't have there are different educations that you can maybe the options are limited, but there are English taught programs. There also, don't forget, there are a lot of international schools as well in China, so you can target those as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more
Hi,
questions before
Pamela.
we wrap this up?
Looks like I can now unmute.
Ah,
So, hi, Rahel.
yes. My co-host is back.
Hi.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Today, my network, my whole system just got jammed. I couldn't speak up, but it's really nice to listen to your conversation. Thank you, Pam, for keeping it going, and really great to hear all that I had to share. Um, I heard you were going back to do your master's. So probably I just ask one question. I'm not sure if Pam has already asked this since when I joined, I could hardly hear anything. But I just wanted to know if whatever you studied prior to what you're doing now, uh, did what you study give you any leverage on what you're doing now?
Yes, so one of the reasons why I also wanted to tie it to my experiences so that I can get the advantage of being selected. This is an entrepreneurship program, so it's related to business. So I'm I'm going to pursue my master's in international business. Specifically, my research area is going to be on the China-Africa relationship. So it's one of the time factor to my application is going to stand out. I hope. I'm hoping for it to stand out as one of the advantages I have in the program. So yeah, it's tied to what I'm doing right now.
Great.
I
That's
hope that
awesome.
answers the question. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So we wish you the best in the next level of your learning then.
Thank you so much.
That'll be all from me.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Rahel, for joining us today. It's been very insightful. I think you're the first guest we've had who's done a certification. The previous people that we had a conversation with all had done probably a postgrad or undergrad study. So it's nice to have a conversation that is different to what we usually had in the past. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wish you all the best. We
Thank
keep
you
in
for having
touch. Yes. Yeah.
definitely. Yes.
And
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you for making the time to listen to my experience. And if anyone is interested in this program and if entrepreneurship and any tech-enabled businesses for you, then I'm willing to help you out. So thank you again for having me, and have a great Saturday.
Thank you.